Triple IU.
Triple I.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Very good building, good landscape. So why, unlike my university, right in the center of the city, it is so compact, small but compact. Up here, the layout, so wonderful. And before I present my paper, this is actually my paper is a result of my reflection as a lecturer in the university. I teach faculty of education as well as faculty of social humaniora. I call it social humaniora. My major is in sociology. My master and my PhD is in sociology. And it's quite so special actually for me, because looking at my students, so sorry to share it with you, I think it is a common phenomenon in Indonesia. They are generation of chatting, not generation of reading.
Yes.
They like to use social media every day. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and pretty lack of time for them actually to read carefully and rigorously or actively. This is my experience. So what happened then? They are just laying in the classroom. It's wonderful. Maybe we call it like kindergarten kosong. So many short films and videos, YouTube or TikTok, portraying them as a kindergarten kosong. So just wondering, if that happens, I don't think we could have like Indonesia like 2025. Because, well, demographically speaking, yes, a majority of the population of Indonesia by 2045, they are like 20 to 40 or 50. They are productive population. However, they are pretty lack of exposure, they are pretty lack of reading. Well, at least if you look at the PISA, PISA stands for Program for International Student Assessment.
Yes.
Indonesia ranked number 6 in Southeast Asia. Below Vietnam, below Malaysia.
Yeah.
Quite good. Well, it's because as a lecturer or teacher can reflecting what actually wrong with us. Then come back to my title of the paper. Still, and I'm just wondering, hopefully this is not happening at UII. Because if this is happening at UII, so I think the substance of building UII, okay? Because this already happening at EIN and science. It shouldn't be happening, it shouldn't be done again over here. What happened over there? Islamic education. Look at historically speaking during the colonial period. Because long time ago, it's by the Dutch, so that the organization of education has to be done by the Dutch. It means that the European part, the dominant, while the indigenous educational institution, we call it Pesantren, it's pretty neglected. It's not really recommended. And then come to post-independence. Still, the government would like to accommodate the indigenous institution along with the modern one, by introducing madrasah. But
the slide is not changing. So we
yeah. And well, that's the post-independence. However, because the focus of the government at the time is for the development, then they prioritize the secular subject instead of the Islamic one. Then come to the current situation. Still, the stereotyping still happening. That Islamic education is really looked aside rather than the public universities. Let's say like in my hometown in Jogja, parents prefer to bring their children to OKM instead of UIN. In other words, if we in Jakarta, they prefer to go to Universitas Indonesia rather than UIN. Even though the subject is the same, even though the project is the same, the study. Well, that's because of the stereotyping inherently embedded within the subconsciousness of the people of Indonesia that they would like to bring their children to pursue the study, further study at higher education. They prefer to go to public universities instead of Islamic one. Well, of course, the current situation is already changed, but the majority, the tendency are still similar. Then, of course, we need to take the post-colonial theory. Because the theory actually introduced us where we need to resist against any domination by the colonial agencies. We in Indonesia is very Dutch, mostly. Like what I experienced, I was educated, my master at Medical University in my PhD, half and UNSW, and University of Sydney in Australia. When I came back to Indonesia, I thought that all the things I learned from there, I got to implement, I got to teach in Indonesia. And our classes were actually there, the indigenous educational institutions by names of Sandra, Madras, etc. Because when I just came back by 2010, 2011, I was kind of like a people's cultural shock. That everything I had already learned from the West, I had to get that in Indonesia. Didn't work. And my friends had said to me, oh, stop English English, stop Americano. Well, yes, take the post-colonial version. And then the second one, we're going to take the critical pedagogy in ways that we emphasize the transformative power of education in challenging the oppression. Whether we are aware or not, well, actually we have the oppression inherent, intangible, by the colonial power. But sometimes they just happy of. And how does not happening can be utilized? Because that's already happened, as I said earlier, at my own university. We also in need of Islamic epistemology. Again, people ask for ignorance of the Islamic epistemology, where we have the idea of tafsir, the oneness of knowledge. But we prefer to differentiate whether this is Islamic, this is classic. Already happened a long time ago, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. Up to this time, still happening. So, what I would like to offer is that to overcome the problem, we need to decolonize every subject we teach at the university. First of all, of course, curriculum reform. Developing curricula that balance religious teaching with global competencies, while prioritizing local practice has been a cornerstone for throughout education reform globally. Well, it happened in Singapore when they introduced multicultural values to each of the subjects. Unlike us in Indonesia, we have a subject we call it pendidikan multikultural.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We would like to have that as an umbrella, as the paradigm for each of the subjects. So even though they teach like math, they teach like physics, like real science, but they introduce that in a way that students can have like mutual understanding under the paradigm of multicultural. But we were looking like to implement the multiculturalism idea, we just instead to have a subject, a mata kuliah, or mata pelajaran entitled Pendidikan Multikultural. This is wrong actually, and shouldn't happen at UII. I'm just wondering if UII would teach Pendidikan Multikultural. Again, in order to implement the technology in Indonesia, the subject matter, there is a subject matter called TIK, which is wrong actually. This has to be like a paradigm for each of the subjects. That each of the subjects has to be introduced, has to be presented technologically. Not teaching the subject under the title of Sociology Informatica. So, I'm just wondering then, because at my university, commonly happening across Indonesia, Fakultas Kedokteran, like UIN Jakarta. What actually is the distinct feature of the Fakultas Kedokteran at UIN compared to at UIN? And there is no such thing as a distinct feature of the faculty, which is very, very, very unaffordable to common people. Why should we have that? So again and again, we need to learn, for example, from Finland, which emphasize personalized learning and cultural adaptability to offer a model of blending traditional value with global competencies. I mean, not everything has to be done like what is happening now in other countries. We need to learn from our own culture or from our own tradition. Then in a way that, well, we take that because that is our culture, plus we model it with the global competencies. In other words, schooling, for example, it doesn't mean that students go to school from 7 until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If we can like accommodate a local condition. Well, teacher training, just put the teacher training. I don't think that you people I already have this program because this program usually kalau I pay PhD, pendidikan profesional. Yeah. Hopefully someday you could have it, but please when you have it, don't follow what's happening right now. Something wrong. We need to decolonize PPG. PPG right now, as you ask the leader is from Faculty of Education at it's well known in preparing PPG for the region in Indonesia. They are teaching like material, how to become like professional teachers, how teachers can have like a pedagogical competence. And there is a personal competence and social competence. Pretty lack of understanding of what actually the substance, which we are really neglecting in a way that we don't really have like, well, what actually the distinct feature of education in Indonesia or educational institution in Indonesia. We're not discussing about that right at teacher training. And I'm just wondering, the teacher training you run right now, if somebody already graduated from Faculty of Education, why should they be repeating that kind of thing? Which is just the same as what they learned before at the university. But still, PhD, which is 2 semesters, are compulsory for them to be called or to get a certificate of professional teacher. Oh my goodness. So,
big problem for education in Indonesia.
Finally, I come to my conclusion. Well asked from Islamic institutions, including UII, what actually are our distinct qualities compared to others? Balancing tradition with the global competitiveness. That is the answer. Again, I'm going to say, our distinct qualities compared to others is actually, how can we balance tradition with the global competitiveness? And we can do this integrating local tradition with global best practices. If we can do this, which is integrating local tradition with the global best practices, relevant in increasingly interconnected world. I think this is the challenge of the existence of the UIII. Otherwise, the development of UIII is redundant to the OIN, EIN, and STEM. Thank you very much.
It's like a very, critical analysis of how Islamic education is trying to be compatible with the global needs, because decolonizing somehow meaning that how we can, again, as mentioned, integrate our respective cultural traditions to make it fantastic with the global needs, global competence, something. And maybe somehow I also feeling as education practitioner, we have a lot of critical homework. I think if you belong to our leaders here in the education institution, hopefully, but that's my little bit.
But I think it gives me a bit to make you understand what I want. I think sociology. Within the subject of sociology, there are so many thinkers. None of the thinkers within the curriculum is Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun lived in 14th century.
14th century. 14th century.
14th century, right?
Yeah.
While Turkish scholars who coined the word sociology, and then followed by Durkheim, it was sometime in 19th century. Ibn Khaldun already came up with the idea of social cohesion. That we as individuals, if we would like to be called as humankind, we have to have our own society and other society to make a collaboration. Long time ago, but none of the names belong to Ibn Khaldun and his idea of sociology or society in general within the subject matter. Come on! Is that what we have been delivered as Jews or Jews? This already has name as Bible university. And you do it, that means redundant. You follow the family state, and we in Indonesia, we have like corporate. Kalau dia tak mau jatuh bergubah Islam.
Thank you very much again for the mind-blowing, very critical information. Please, we would like to hear from the audience, anyone?
Yeah, I would like to ask a question. About PPD, you said that if you do the PPD, don't do like this one. I would like you to highlight what aspect that we need to decolonize in the current practice of the PPD, because I also involved in the PPD in the environment.
Yes, I don't feel like a practitioner right now, rather than I think, come on, Lisa, help me. How do we have to take it actually? Ibu, just like at my universities, when I criticize my universities, which is not what actually is the basic figure of Islamic university in Yogyakarta compared to Bandung, compared to Jakarta. Well, that's the Islamic university. And then we compare it to public universities like Gajah Mada University and UI, what actually are our distinct qualities. It's pretty hard actually. What I offer to Islamic universities in general, not PPD in specific, we would like to have like a moderation theory in a way that, well, how to implement Islam is not like Islam as it is, or maybe few of them as Islam in Nigeria. But we would like Islam in general as being blended with the traditional features of Indonesia. We have that for a long time ago. However, to make it like what actually is distinct, because there has to be difference between PPD run by Islamic university and public university. If it is the same, well, that's in the name of globalization, then we become the globalization. If the globalization actually inherently, the meaning is homogenization. So we can have like distinctively between the PPP run by Islamic and public universities. In the name of globalization, then we challenge us. If the globalization would rather mean instead of homogenization. Well, we appreciate globalization because it provides us for collaboration, enhancing our culture. We can see what's happening over there right now with us, so we can collaborate, we can understand each other. But then, the negative meaning of it is standardization, which means homogenization. Please, we can't do that kind of thing. Well, let's look at France. Oh, come on. I critically have a discussion with my supervisor, with my thesis and with my doctoral supervisor from McGill and from some big universities from the US. Come on, we learned from the US to have like a globalization, but now US turns into looking inward rather than outward, looking that way. We can provide globalization for Indonesia, 47% tariff for export and import. Which one actually is the universal qualities of the world we share each other at the same time. We almost don't have it right now. Because each country, each government has its own proper ways that exist in the world.
Thank you very much for your response, we still have time. We are looking for more people maybe to say. Okay, but
thank you for the insightful presentation. It is true that we need to transform the professional PPG for Islamic education teachers, because I think that every school needs to focus. We have so many standards. Then we need to focus with the development of teachers in standards. Because when I experience learning with teachers from the standards, since there are various of variation of the educational background is very different from only Pesantren background, and then who is background, and so they also have direct postgraduate degree. The knowledge they have is different, and however, when they come back to the Pesantren, what they practice every day in their daily learning and teaching activities is like just usual. Yeah. So what they learn from the university background is not well implemented in the Pesantren. Maybe that is what we need to be more focused in the education. But thank you for Islamic education.
I agree with that. At the same time, we also acknowledge the problem is that how much money can our teacher earn monthly? And in order to make some more money, they need that certificate that they already been successful at the PPP. That means they can have like a dual income, which is first is from the salary of being PNS, civil servant, and the second is salary of being a teacher. Because like the problem in Nigeria, the problem is economic constraints. In other words, it's money, right? That's the problem. And you know, PPP was originally designed not by universities, but by public universities. And who are the public universities? All dominated by European style, inherited by from the Dutch colonialism. Then we need to resist. We need to decolonize the PPP in a way that PPP can be like, well, how it is in future of Islamic university. The future not belong to a public university, it's personal. If we can do that, we want to do that. Some Ustaz and the pesantren can get a PPG professionally. Thank you.
But sure, okay.
Very interesting.
Right. Do we have maybe one comment, question? Please go.
Talking about that you just mentioned, how to make the essential multicultural to be the pattern in all projects. And only that's a big project or big thing to be completed. So it should be checked the country how to make it happen.
Oh my goodness. Long project. Long project. If we look at the force of life, I don't know what we call it operator. When you just write in the first semester, you just came to the classroom, you will be provided with the force of life. What will be taught by your lecturer from the first semester? Yeah, that's what? In Indonesia, it changed many times. Now it's called FPS.
Yes.
What is FPS? Okay. Force plan or force of blindness is okay. Instantly we can understand that. But FPS, rupiah sementara. Alright. Well, I can't really visualize that in specific way. But what we would like to have is that how this actually be the model, become the umbrella of the subject matter, become the paradigm, become the perspective, become the way we look at how to deliver the knowledge to our students, how actually knowledge production can be carried out in a way that we have the umbrella called multiculturalism. I like the future to have you without the Egypt as the individual life. We would like to have that at my own university. We can't do it as the undergraduate, but we can do it as the postgraduate. There are so many lecturers at the postgraduate who are Christians, who are Catholic, who are Buddhists. They are different from us, but we have it. But then the problem is that actually, at the eighth level, we don't have that problem with multiculturalism. But at the graduate, at the common level, that's the problem. So rather than actually become the paradigm at the postgraduate level, please bring this down at the undergraduate level, so students can learn. Is that possible to have students without income at the undergraduate level at my home Islamic University? We can't do that. Up to this time. As the undergraduate, I'm talking about undergraduate, but the postgraduate we can have it. But the undergraduate we can't do that. I don't know how much at the postgraduate education at the Jakarta. Do you have like students of different faith, non-Muslim? You don't have like hijab?
No. In UIN Jakarta, all students. Yeah.